Hello. So in this video, I just want to go over how to create your quotes and paraphrases. So I'm going to start with a quote, and the first instruction is cut and paste the exact quote into this document. If it is under 40 words long, put quotation marks around it. If it is 40 words or longer, Google how to do block quotations in APA 7 and follow the directions. If you're including a quote that's longer than 40 words, you want to make sure that every single part of it is impactful. If it turns out that you really only need to quote like maybe one or two lines and then that might be an invitation to see if you can get rid of some of the rest and make it so that it is under 40 words. In this example, I'm going to choose a quote that's under 40 words. I am using my annotation actually to help me here, because as I went through and annotated, I underlined quotes that I found particularly striking or impactful. So I'm going to go back and look for those. So this particular line struck me. So I'm going to quote it. I'm going to say copy. And I am going to put it in right here. And it's probably going to bring the comment over. I should have said surprising. I think it used to say this is surprisingly strict. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to get rid of this. So I'm going to go to review, delete, and now it's gone. And I no longer need it to be underlined. So I'm going to hit Control U and get rid of the underline. So here's my quote. These are not my words. I cut and pasted them. Anytime you cut or paste, ask yourself or tell yourself to put quotes around it immediately so you don't get confused. Anytime you cut and paste anything into your document, put quotes around it right away. I'm just going to double check myself that it's not more than 40 words. So if you don't know how to do this, you can just highlight it, and the bottom will tell you in Word that this is 30 words long. So I'm fine with just quoting it. I don't have to put it in block quotation. Okay, so this is my quote. The second instruction says, look up any words you don't know. And I'm sorry, that's for paraphrase. The second says, use a signal phrase. See the article in Unit 2 Learning Materials folder to start the sentence. So I am going to go to, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, my Unit 2 Learning Materials. And I have an article called Integrating Sources with Signal Phrases. And in here, I have a chart of some sample signal verbs. So here is an example of a signal phrase. Here is another example of a signal phrase. So they're a lot like the attributive tags we talked about last time, but you can see that the words are not as neutral. So there might be suggest, there might be assert, there might be claim. Those are words that you want to stay away from in a summary, which is meant to be neutral and objective. Some of these words are a little more opinionated, and they'll work better for when you're quoting or paraphrasing. So I'm going to incorporate this quote. So the reason that we want these signal verbs is because when you go to write a quote, you don't want to just dump it in. You're not done. This is not good. When you include a quote, you want to make it fit with the flow of your paper. And the way that you do that is by adding something before. Sometimes you can add something back after, but it can often be a little awkward that way. So I'm going to add in a signal phrase beforehand. I'm going to say, look back. So I'm going to pick a verb. I like the verb point out, points out. So we're going to say, that's not what I meant to do. And I have two authors, so I'm going to say the authors point out New York's mandate is among the strictest, providing no option to test weekly rather than get vaccinated. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my third instruction, finish with an APA citation. I need the author or author's last name. I need the publication year, the page of the paragraph where I found the information. It should look like this ultimately. So in this case, I have two authors. I'm going to get rid of this because the period goes after the citation. My two authors, I'll scroll back up and look at my Otterman and Goldstein. So this is how it should look if you have two authors. Otterman, ampersand, Goldstein. And it was written in 2021. I only need to include the year. I'm not including the date. I'm not including the month. And then I found this quote. I'm going to go back to the article itself. I know I have a ton of tabs open. You probably will too. It's the life of an English student. So here it is right here. I'm going to count the paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh geez, I lost track already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so paragraph 10. If you're not exactly sure how to count it and you're like, oh, these paragraphs are a little weird, I can't tell if this is a paragraph or not, do the best and I'll figure it out from there. You know, you're looking for kind of an approximation. And then the period goes after. And now my quote is done. That's my quote. To paraphrase, I'm going to read the quote I selected 3 times. Oh, and you know what else I'm going to do before I even start in on all that? I'm going to make sure that this is all matching. It should be Times New Roman. Yep, okay. So I'm going to read the quote 3 times. Right now I'm just reading it once because I've already read it a couple times. Okay. Look up any words you don't know. So if you didn't know what the word mandate meant, you'd want to look it up. If you didn't know what litigation meant, you would want to look it up so that you have a clear idea in your mind of what those words mean. My third instruction is to type it up in my own words, changing the sentence structure and the wording. I'm going to avoid using the thesaurus function because typically people will just look up the thesaurus and change this. So don't do what I'm doing right now. If you look up synonyms and choose hearing, it's not gonna really be helpful to just put it in those words. Trial, process. I think something like legal action is probably what I'm gonna end up using, but you don't wanna just go through and switch a couple of words in the thesaurus because that's not gonna be enough. The point of the paraphrase is to literally put it in your own words. So, so you can see as I was doing that, I would go back and erase some words that were too close, and I had to think about it. And even now, I'm going to check myself and see if any of the words are too close. One kind of a good rule that I've heard before is that you don't want 3 words appearing in the same order as the original. And I think I've done a pretty good job. You can see it's about as long, but it's not exactly the same. So it's not like I just translated this sentence and then I translated that sentence. I actually made, I think, 3 sentences. It's roughly the same length. And in this paraphrase, what I've done is I've gone through and I've taken this idea and I've put it in my own words. But it's not done because if I just put this in my paper right now, even though I did all that work, it's plagiarism. I need to include this because this idea, I didn't make this up. I didn't get this from myself and my own observations. So I still need to give credit where credit is due. So since this is a paraphrase of this quote, I'm going to use the exact same citation. And now I am done. So that's how you would do a quote and a paraphrase. And you're going to do that 2 more times. Select a quote, make sure you cite it properly, and then work on paraphrasing it. That's how you do it.